You are on air with the Grey Regime. Your values are honor, valor, sacrifice, and esprit de corps, with gaming and tons of loot. Oh, they just updated the game big time. Boy, that's a lot of fixes. Ooh. Wow. Bob-omb's now playable based on the armor. Well, enough about the patch notes. Let's hit this mimic room and see what's going on with the game. They said they'll take away my self-damage, so I have high hopes for blowing things up with no remorse. That's a new loading screen. Okay, Rhino it is. Player using Kuva Bramma will notice self-damage is gone. Shield gating has been added to the game. However you play Warframe, it's like the Warframe revised update. Okay.
This looks interesting.
Why does he have the voice of a smoker of 40 years?
Tenno, vast numbers of great ghouls are breaking ground near Cetus. Kanzu requests any assistance you can provide.
Okay, so the new war chapters. We completed the Chimera Prologue. What is this era? Rush repair drone. I got one. Oh, I got 900,000 credits back. Haha! Whoa, that's enough railjack nonsense. Wait, what's this? Nope, not going down there. That's that error quest. Nope, not messing with that at all. So I've got Rhino set up with... Put on this Kuva Bramma real quick. Let's see what else I can get away with. Oh, lens is another weapon we used to blow ourselves up with. Guess that won't happen anymore. Kuva Bramma. Piranha Prime.
I've been thinking, Operator. I thought you'd want to know.
Get me a Rhino Prime. But
If I may say, Operator, your chosen Warframe suits you. Ha, ha.
I'm stupid stale jokes. We've got, let's say, Strata Relay. Yeah, so that's a very different loading screen than before with that symbol up on the top. You normally only see that at Cetus, but it does give you a good tracking. See how much the level is loaded. Seems you've got one watching. Okay, this guy's definitely a little bit more decked out than I am. It's alright. Like the color scheme. Black and red, black and red. So let's fast travel to Saffron Samaris. And we're gonna go in here to the Simulacrum and see what kind of chaos we can mock up. So let's spawn. Oh, I can give my companion invincibility now. Okay. Let's spawn these guys and see what kind of damage I do with this Bramma now. There. So as Rhino, test 1. Well, that didn't go so well for me. Let's try this again. As Rhino, test 2. So, seems the ones closer to the center of the damage took more damage. Making sense. They don't like the gas, do they? Oh, and you drop off the stage. It's one way to die. That finishes courtesy of the Grand Prime. Okay. Some energy up. Iron skin on. Hit him in the head. Completely missed the other guy though. Let's see what that gas damage does over time. I don't like it. Oh. Now these are level 95 enemies in case you were wondering, so now let's go ahead and try the exact same thing with my lens, which my lens is not very optimized at all, but you know, lens was a weapon we used to blow ourselves up with fairly well. And if I could find it, that would work out very well. Oh, there it is. I've got way too much power on this Rhino, by the way. This lens. Let's look at the upgrade. The lens. Vigilante armaments. Oh. Supposed to be running a Vigilante set with this to enhance my crits. Anyway, my point strike, speed. This is a problem. Why would I? Oh. Point strike, critical chance, speed trigger for draw speed, Vigilante armaments, just to see what I can do in terms of, but I don't have that much damage on here, I'm just doing the base damage. Huh. Well, let's see what happens when I shoot it. Iron skin, point blank range. I'm not dead. Guess it doesn't help if you miss the enemy's target. Oh, I did a lot of damage. So you can see the enemies on the outer edges take a whole lot less damage. Even though this weapon is not very compatible with those. Yeah, it's not really doing it. Level 95 enemies with too much armor. Not where you want to use the lens, obviously. Let's see what else I've got in the arsenal that might actually see some changes. I have this dread that I haven't used in forever. Let's go here. So this is a dread set up for corrosive damage and a little bit of status chance, it seems like. So 32% status chance, 125% crit. We'll see what happens when I shoot one of these guys in the head. He didn't like that. Liked it less corrosive. Okay. Seeing some damage increase with the corrosive. There we go. There's the slash proc. See, what I should be doing is setting this up for status. Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. That dread is atrocious when it comes to... Oh, and you fall off the edge of the stage. Great job. This dread is atrocious when it comes to overall damage. So let's take the bullet I normally use, the Daikyu. Okay. This should be something. Okay, he's got a slash proc on him. Gas. That just feels underwhelming. Let's go here. But he's got a slash. Oh, the slash proc is what does it. So let's see. He's got 2 impact procs on it. Oh, he's got a. Oh. That just turned slash procs into a broken thing. Oh. Slash procs are great against armor now. Okay. Performs as used to. But let's take a weapon that I've got set up for heavy slash procs. Like to say it's Tigris Prime. This is gonna be. Do I have the status build here? Status projectile per projectile 31.5%. Ooh, this one's only 11.3%. That changes things. So I have an 11.3% chance to hit a status per projectile. So I'm going to go ahead and go with this other status per projectile. This one I've got blast and corrosive and slash on there. But this isn't looking good. It looks like the Tigris got nerfed. I wonder how Dre's going to feel about Betsy. Now that Betsy doesn't do what Betsy used to do. He doesn't have a gun for that anymore. At least not now. Okay. Stand here, don't move, and... Okay, he took it like a boss. 3 slash procs, 2 corrosive procs. Let's see what my piranha does, actually. I think I've got my piranha set up for viral and slash. That does something. I got 8 viral procs, 2 slash procs. So the piranha seems like it benefits from this. Those slash procs are actually I've got 6 slash procs. I've got to do some testing on this. do this again. Okay, I'm getting blasted. Okay, there we go. So, I'm getting blasted down corrosive procs on here. I guess Betsy can do what Betsy kind of did, just Betsy's not going to be... Okay. Can I one-shot? Okay. Duplex shot more so. But you see some of that health gating, that shield gating mechanic there. So in 2 shots, you can take out level 95 enemies with this. Makes me feel a little bit more confident. Let's see what else I've got in the arsenal. Guys, Archoplasmor that we used to use fairly well with a lot of radiation damage, or a decent amount of radiation damage. This is not by any means a maxed out deal, it's just something to use to test damage with. Let's go over here and deal with these guys. Oh yeah, that's trash. But I am getting some staggers on that proc on it. So you can knock enemies away from you. And nope. So let's take a look at another weapon, see how well that's changed. I'm gonna grab my Tiburon Prime and see what I can do in terms of status and slash and whatnot, or whittling down. Because I normally like to run this Tiburon Prime in burst fire mode. Running down enemies, pop up, pop up, pop up, pop up, status 44% chance at burst fire mode. And in auto mode, my status chance jumps to 70.4%. Okay, so let's see what this does. Get an enemy to spawn. Let's go ahead and do this. Okay. Wow. So your regular bombards die pretty quickly. The corrupted bombards take a while. If you're hitting them in the head. Let's see what's happening to him right now. He's bleeding out all over the place. Bleeding all over the battle like a certain derelict Negro. So let's switch it up. Let's use the semi-auto fire for higher crits. Okay, corrosive works. Not nearly as well as before, but it does work. And let's use some auto fire. So almost every shot I'm proccing on them, and you can see the difference. The status procs stacking the way they do now. He's got 6 slash procs on him. He's got 10 corrosive procs on him. Unfortunately, you can't proc away all their armor anymore. I think they're left with about 20% armor. Normally speaking, the enemies are not going to stand there and watch you hit them in the face. So. Make a little bit more. again. There they go. Okay, I'm gonna go switch out to my Cronin Prime and see how that actually procs a little bit better, because Cronin Prime has been my go-to for when I want to melt an enemy. For example, say the Stalker or anything that doesn't, just don't want to be around. So if I'm going to melt them, I'm going to melt them. Cronin Prime, showing my setup real quick. I'm running viral as well as heat damage. So viral, heat. Oh, I have 108.8% status chance, which means I'm going to proc at least one status every time I hit somebody, which might be interesting with Conditioned Overload, because I don't know how Conditioned Overload works with the new status procs. Okay, and so here, when you go run into some enemies and see how quickly they melt. Okay, all the energy. Yep, they melt just as quickly there. Okay, slash rock. Okay, he's bleeding. He doesn't like bleeding. And he also doesn't like the viral procs. So the go-to face melter is probably going to be something that attacks quickly with slash procs. That can stack a lot of them. Otherwise, it's going to hurt. Okay. So let's see these bombards here. Okay. None of them like it. It's just a bad look. Okay, good to know that's the works. Now let me go ahead and spawn some more enemies to play with. So some of the weapons are going to be more effective based on what I'm seeing here. You're going to want to run weapons that have slash damage almost all the time now. As if that wasn't the case before. But yeah, now you're going to really want to run it because slash procs actually do a lot of good. You have to... Let's take a look at this Nagantaka. Or actually, let's take a look at the Ignis. See what the Ignis does. Ignis is just straight flame damage. I'm not even running a maxed out Ignis, but I've got a 43% chance of status. And on high level enemies, it generally doesn't work. Corrupted Bombard, let's see, I get 10 of these to spawn. Let's get a Corrupted Ancient as well, just because. Do I have any of those? Well, let's get the rest of these as spawners. Confirm. And I'm gonna get some of these Corrupted Mobiles to show up. Okay. So I'm interested to see what happens as you get. Oh. So I've got flame procs dropping on the same enemy. Well, let's see what kind of damage over time occurs. Oh, that's actually pretty good. Obviously, high armor enemies they don't really care much about playing attacks. See what other kinds of weapons we've got to toy around with. Okay. Now we're gonna take this Lanka that I've been using for Eidolon hunts and see what else we can get out of this. Still effective. Now, here's where we're gonna see if shield gating actually works. Yep, that shield stopped all the damage right there. Okay, so we're just gonna respawn these guys, no problems. And let's see what else we got. Okay, now here's where it might get a little interesting because your toxin procs go directly to health. So let's see, I've got my Bramma. I'm gonna switch it up a little bit and run everything that boosts toxin procs entirely. So I'm gonna max out my damage with Serration, let's see what we do with Malignant Force. Yeah, Malignant Force will be a good one to. Malignant Force, that'll give me a 60% status chance, 60% added to my toxin damage. Let's go for because I'm thinking that toxin is going to be the most overpowered way to deal damage in the game. I just have yet to test it. So let's go Infected Clip, that's some toxin damage. Let's get Split Chamber. Multi-shot's always good. Let's even throw in a Vigilante Armaments for extra multi-shot. And doing the Point Strike for what's it? Point Strike for critical chance. There we go. And Rifle Aptitude. Now it gives you a 90% status chance. So that's something to watch out for, something that they changed. Now all of your status mods now give you a plus, well, your base status mods give you a 90% extra status chance. So I've got a 52.5% status chance now with this setup. I'm going to take this out there and see what I can do with some toxin damage. So toxin damage is supposed to completely ignore shields. Okay. You do see some overall. Okay, about 6 seconds of that. So, that's what happens when you shoot without Iron Skin. Okay, that should have ignored the shields. Okay, the toxic damage is directly ignoring the shields on that. But it's not doing so good against the armor. So I would actually say a combination of a toxin and slash weapon. So the Mire might actually be a good weapon in this current meta, where Slash doesn't bypass shields, but Toxin does. Put some Iron Skin on here. Oh, I've got the Iron Skin on. And not doing enough damage to doing anything. But Bramma is still a very effective weapon. If for nothing else, it hurts. So let's go ahead and take a moment and look at something I've set up for mainly slash damage. That's what I've got here. This should be mainly slash damage. I have an 85.8% chance of status chance with, it looks like gas. Let me switch that up for just straight toxic. Actually, no. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use that status mod, that rifle aptitude right here, to give me a 90% status chance. This should push me up to, there we go, 97.5. So I've got slash and I've got toxin. Let's see how this plays out. Now, another thing they said they changed is that your weighting no longer goes to your IPS, which is your impact, puncture, slash. Your weighting is going towards, your weighting is evenly weighted. So if you have 252 toxin out of a total of like 1252, you have a 20% chance of proccing toxin, and like an 80 something percent chance, well, almost 80% chances to proc slash here, which is nice. I'm not complaining about that. Now, if my assumptions are correct, the correct meta is indeed gonna be a slash toxin meta. Okay, let's see what this does. Maybe not so much against corrupted ancients. Okay. Unfortunately, corrupted ancient is doing its thing, and you know, basically. Taking those procs from things around it. So now that he's off the edge and I don't have to worry about him anymore. Okay, impact proc. Toxin. So you see the slash proc hitting away at the shields. The toxin proc eating away at the health. But that shield recovery is no joke. So let's go ahead and hit this bomb. So that slash proc isn't really doing that much. But you can see when they get hit five times with the impact proc, they stagger and almost knock over. So yeah. Slash procs are doing what they're supposed to. It's just a little worrisome about how to actually deal with the... Okay. Slash procs are dealing against the... As he falls over because of the... The impact procs are probably going to be something we're gonna have to watch out for, because if you run a weapon that procs a lot of impact or just does a lot of impact damage, you're probably going to be knocking enemies away, and it may not be part of what you want to do. Now let's take a weapon that I've built out for the purpose of... Okay, so this weapon is built... I got two builds on this. One for status chance and one for why aren't you hitting them harder, basically. Collision force, virulent scourge, heavy trauma. Well, this is toxin and basically as much raw damage as I could pull out with straight impact. So that's this Archititron here. So that is not a bad deal at all. Now, normally enemies with armor are strong against impact, but when you're dealing with this much impact damage, it doesn't matter. Okay, let's go ahead and release. Yep. Okay, and then slam, and yeah, they're all taking that. So that's the build for as much, whatever you want to call it, as possible, really. As much impact as possible, plus a little bit of toxin. Let's go ahead and use the other build, in which okay, this is the build in which I try to use as much. So I'm going for heat and viral in this build. Try to get as much status chance as I can on it. And so heat and viral. There may be another meta for this as well. Nothing really likes taking that much damage from a hit. I mean, 58,000 damage. Whew. Okay. So, overpowered weapons aside, let's go ahead and see what else we can mess around with and hopefully get some nice procs on things. So here's the mire. Actually, I've got a chroma equip. Let's take a look at this chroma really quickly. Also rip chroma, because chroma no longer has the same self-damage capability that it did before. So severe rip chroma. I'm gonna take this Boltor out there, and instead of this, I'm gonna equip my Broken War, actually, because I have a Broken War that I got built a certain way, I guess. So I'm running this Broken War. Not this one. Not this one. Yes, this one. Here. Between the Broken War, the 3 gladiators on it, and the stance. And let's go ahead and do the chroma. I've got the gladiator effects on this chroma. Here. So, let's see what we do with crit damage now. How our crits actually scale with these enemies. Okay. I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about that. So let's take the enemy that's you get 4 impact, 4 puncture procs in a row. It seems like. Five. Somebody's got some serious Clem PTSD, you know, something like some of these dudes that, you know, you watch them in a debate and, you know, they have severe PTSD from, you know, a certain person telling them that they're dominated. Now, so criticals work pretty much the same they always have. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we could do with abilities from Warframes and nuking things, and let's pick a different weapon, a weapon that has I really don't use much else but bows, so the Rubico perform pretty much similarly to the Lanka. The Soma would actually be a good weapon to see how those slash procs roll. So we see that. Broken War. Let's see what I can do with the build the Dragon Arcana for that status, not crit. Go ahead and get a variety of enemies out there. Not just these 10. Okay, drop some corrupted bombards. Corrupted heavy gunners. And I really don't want the corrupted ancients anymore, but I will exchange them for some corrupted mullahs. Okay. Rule number one, don't jump off before getting energy for your abilities. Okay, so there we are at 288% ability strength. That fries every enemy with shields. Doesn't do all that much to armor. Okay. You're not really getting much off of the Soma. I can't see a really consistent slash proc coming off of either. Okay. The melee Nakanas work really well. Or rather, Nakanas work really well as melee weapons. Anything that does a decent amount of slash damage that you can chunk through your enemies with. Doesn't matter how much armor they have. Slash is good against armor. You're gonna want to run. You're just gonna want to run slash. It's difficult to think of what could be done at this point. Grab the Bramma, switch from Nakana to... You really don't want anything with puncture damage or impact damage because you'll end up knocking things back. Slash is the way you're going to want to go. And in this case, you're going to want to be careful shooting enemies at point blank range with explosive weapons. Like this. That is very interesting. Yeah, that's what I meant. Now they say that there's a window you can recover within. So if you otherwise you'll just take them out. And gas damage is not really all that good against armored enemies. They've actually got a new little symbol for gas damage, as you can see up there in that corner. Gas is now separate to toxin damage as opposed to dealing toxin damage. I believe that's just going to be the way to go. If you run a slash weapon with toxin, your slash weapon no longer goes through shields. Or if you can run a combination slash magnetic toxin damage, that might do it. There's a lot of things in this new update that I'm not yet familiar enough with to make a proper statement on, but I promise you that your guns have changed in ways that you don't want them to. Sometimes, some of them anyway. Well, you've been on air with Great Machine Gaming. Our values are honor, valor, sacrifice, and esprit de corps. And this has been Shadra Kirsa here, reviewing the changes for the recent update to Warframe on the PS4. I'm still a bit confused, but for now, slash and toxin. That'll be the way to go.